No. Don't play for Matt.
Oh, wow.
All right. No, play for you.
Oh, my God. I can't.
Hello everybody, welcome to Mike's Mike. My name is Mike and we're doing our Week 8 Australian Survivor recap. And you know what? I'm wearing a sheet. I am wearing a sheet, but it's a vibe. It's the Week 8 vibe. I don't know what else to tell you. Just some pre-video tea. I'm about to hit that 600 subs, which is like, first of all, crazy. But second of all, I want to do a video about my reaction meme folder, but I can't do that for the 600 sub video until I get 600 subs. Maths. So if you finna want to help me out, get 600, hit that subscribe button. Let's make that $5.95 equal that 600. Let's do it. I should get it. Okay, but real talk. How much did this week snap? Like, is it just me or does this like snap like crazy? Like, did we deserve to be snapped at that crazily? So I've got my notes here. Let's get stuck in. So on Monday night's episode, we had the little recap at the start, and to start with, there was a clip of Monica talking to Matt about Sam voting for Matt, which we didn't get in the previous week of episodes, which I was like, okay, selective edit, trying to make Monica look dumb. I see you. But then again, there is potential that they did actually show that clip, but I didn't see it because I was dead ass tired. What other way would you want to start your week of reality TV on a Monday than with Brian talking about shitting in the woods? And the whole time he was talking about his shitting in the woods story, I was just sitting there like, this is a great story, but like, I've also shat in the woods and it was traumatic. So you might be thinking, what the fuck were you shitting in the woods? Well, let me give you the Spark Notes version. I was in year 9, we're on a find yourself trip to the woods, you know? And they kept feeding us apples, and that, you know, that means one thing. Dietary movement, and I'm gonna leave you there. At this point, I'd like to make it very clear that Brian's screen time is very positive, very light, and very much of a winner's edit. In this kerfuffle of Brian talk, we get Matt saying that Brian is the new leader of the tribe, and I'm just like, hello, Victorian Police? Yeah, I just want to get a fact check. I think it's about time we just get stuck in talking about Benji. To start with, he had an actually iconic analogy, and I wasn't like, I'm so done with this, because I'm so done with Godfather, obviously, and Kings and Queens and all that shit. But he said, I need to get as close as possible to him so that when I shoot, I don't miss. And I was like, stamp. But as soon as they kept going, Matt confessional, Benji confessional, Brian confessional, just that trilogy, I was like, it about to be a trilogy tribal council. Before we talk about the challenge, I just wanted to discuss the scene of Benji talking to Brian, Monica, and Shani on the beach. Brian and Benji were standing, Monica and Shani were laying down, doing a little bit of a sunbaking moment, you know? And the edit was so anti-Monica, I was actually screaming in Sheraton Hotel in Sydney. It was ridiculous. Like, he'd be talking to Monica, then cut to Monica, and she'd be like, and then they'd cut away from Monica, so she didn't actually say anything at all until like the end of the conversation, where the clip they used was her pretty much repeating what Benji said. I think it's time to talk about the challenge. Anything that involves crawling under anything or being enclosed in anything, it makes me feel anxious. Like when Sean was going under that fucking pole shit in the sand, she was like, "Ugh," and I'm like, "Ugh." I don't know if this is common knowledge, but Shani did in fact invent puzzles. Like the concept of puzzles like didn't exist until Shani went on Survivor, and she exhibited her prowess in this new thing called a puzzle. When that top 3 got to the final like snooker challenge, which by the way, I'd be absolutely heinous at. I can't shoot a ball to save my life. I wrote down that it was the ideal top 3 for problematic immunity: Benji, Brian, and Shani. Like if any of those got immunity, it was going to be a spicy episode. And y'all know that's the truth. So in the midst of Benji winning his immunity, we get Sean picking up an idol. And this was, in fact, I wrote down the number. It was idol 45,833 for the season. And she did drop that shit. And when she dropped it, I was like, the second that Benji won immunity, we just knew that he was finna snap on strategy this episode, because he had literally nothing to lose. Like, he had immunity, he had an idol as well. What more could you want? Maybe some good analogies. After the challenge, they get back to camp and Matt's all like, throw up your juices, let's get down to it, and vote out all the contenders. Before we talk about Benji's iconic moment at the tribal, let's just quickly discuss the fact that Monica is getting so much tribal screen time, which is interesting. And also, she remains on the right side of the numbers since the beginning. Monday night's episode and Tuesday night's episode. She did that shit. And she also has not had a single vote against her. The tea remains steaming. Does tea steam? Okay, let's do it. Let's talk about Benji at Tribal Council. He finna snap on that shit. Like, oh lord, when Sian got up, she was like, I have an idol. Yes, the rumors are true. I do in fact have an idol, but I'm gonna play that shit for Matt. I was like, oh lordy, it's gonna be a spicy blindside. And then Benji's like, hold up, Sian, don't play it for Matt, play it for, wait, no, I need to put it into an American accent. Sian, no, that's too American. I need to make it like a bad American accent. Sian, don't play it for Matt, play it for yourself. I think the best way for me to describe how I felt about Benji's move is to read out the sentence that I wrote down on Monday night. I wrote, that was iconic, legendary. The Survivor legend jumped out. The locals didn't understand, but the Survivor stans appreciated it. True. So true. Wow. Why am I like saying that my own comments were true? But they were. This was never going to be a good episode for Sian. I feel like all around for Sian, this was not a good episode. After this episode, she kind of dropped down a few notches on my potentials to win radar, but it wasn't really her fault, the stuff that happened. And there was like a little clip of Steve glaring at Matt like, play your motherfucking idol. And he didn't play it. And I was like, what the fuck? So I guess we didn't really see what was happening in the lead up to that. We got to see the plan behind Benji orchestrating this hoo-ha to vote out Matt, but we weren't actually on the island with them peoples. So on Tuesday night, the intro was about Shani winning her advantage in the lolly jar, which just instantly says we're getting the advantage played tonight at Tribal Council. Shane was mad as fuck about Matt going home, and she was like being held petty. So she put out the fire. She's like, let us smoke that shit up. Put the 3 logs away so they wake up and they won't have a warm beach. Why is that me being petty, but like in my attempts to be petty, doing the most like insignificant inconvenience to the person I'm trying to piss off? We got a lot of fun little clips like, don't fuck with Shane Gold. And I was like, I stand Shane Gold. Overall, this was obviously an iconic episode for Brian, but I think this was also a good episode for Shane, because if you think about it, she selectively chose people on her team that she knew would be good to talk to try and vote out Benji. Can we just quickly talk about the challenge though? Because in terms of sponsorship, I feel like that was meant to be a KFC challenge, but then KFC pulled out of sponsorship, so then it's just a fried chicken challenge, and like all these close-ups of the chicken, I'm like, this was so meant to be a KFC sponsorship.
Fried chicken. And chips.
At the reward, Brian got an idol, and that is in fact idol number 45,834. And you know, I was thinking there's been a fuck ton of idols this season, like a shitload, like a bucket load, like a wheelbarrow full of idols. And I was thinking, is that just like an abnormal amount of idols? But then, you know what happens is, if the idols get played or the idols go home, they re-inject the idols. Like they get a needle out, put the idols in it, and re-inject that shit back into the game. So that's what's been happening. I'm just gonna skip over the immunity challenge because it was a boring ass challenge. I was just like bouncing shit. Brian won. That's the moral of the story. Brian snapped and Brian won. This episode was a little bit of like an audience blindside, which I love. I love it when I don't know what the fuck's happening going into Tribal Council. But we kind of went in assuming that Sian was going to go. We heard some little whispers about Benji being a target, but it wasn't like Benji's the main target, whereas before it was like Matt is the main target. It was like Sian is the main target, and then we get this wild tribal. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about the number 2 most hectic tribal of the week out of 2. Actually, maybe before we talk about the tribal, let's just quickly talk about when Benji told Brian, while Brian was wearing the immunity necklace, that Sian was gunning for him at that Tribal Council. And Shani's like, the fuck is going on? Literally me. But everyone's like, that's what caused Brian to flip on Benji, and that sent Benji home. This is the locals. That's how I talk when I'm trying to be a local. But that's definitely not what happened. I feel like they had that plan long ago. They were like, Benji can't go to the end. He's too powerful. His brain is too powerful. We must send him home. So the Spark Notes version for the tribal, we had Shani played her advantage on Sian and voted for Sian, causing a vote split on Benji and Sian. It was a 4-4. So that means that they re-vote and Benji and Sian can't vote, but because Shani could steal Sian's vote and Sian wasn't voting, she couldn't steal Sian's vote. But if she had picked Steve or Shane, she could have stolen their vote and practically flipped that tribal and sent Sian home. But instead, Benji went home, didn't play his idol because he thought it was safe. So that's 2 episodes in a row of a big player going home with an idol in them's pockets. I feel like every time I do my rankings, I spend less and less time on it. I spent it like in total, I think 2.3 seconds on my list this week. I've got Monica at the top. Again, I did that. Fenella, Shane, Shani, Brian, Sian, Steve. Brian, I feel like maybe I should put him higher, but then I was like, you know what? maybe he's not going to go that far. Like, he's very powerful at the moment, but all the ads for this week are very Monica-centric, so maybe she finna snap and finna flip and vote out Brian. Y'all don't know. I think out of Chanella, Shani would have more heat because the Champions Alliance would be like, oh, she tried to vote out Sean. I've got Fenella at 2 because she flipped on Benji. Like, she voted with Benji, and then when it came to Benji and Sean, she was like, shit, I can get out a major player right now. So she flipped and voted out Benji, which was such a good move for her. Quick 30 seconds of spoilers. Steve is in the shit. Like, don't get it twisted. He's in a shit-ass position. But that clip of him wearing the necklace from Tribal Council still hasn't happened yet. So surely that doesn't mean another idol, but it means some kind of advantage. So it has to happen this week. If it doesn't happen this week, they could have potentially given away so much in a promo that aired like 2 weeks ago. Alright, it's time to do some Instagram comments. If you want to get your thoughts read out or your questions answered in the video, all you got to do is follow me on Instagram and reply to the Q&A sticker that I put up on the end of Tuesday's episode. You only got a few more opportunities to do this, because I think we've got like 2 or 3 more weeks left of the season. So Natalie BVW, I'm guessing Blood vs. Water.si, says, also Survivor Micronesia vibes. 2 idols in pockets, blindsided in a row, boys going home. Oh my god, are we getting a repeat season? We're in a different timeline. I think we've established by now that we're living in a different timeline. At some point the timeline got fucked up and now we're revisiting Micronesia in Australia. Izzy Bachelor says, is it just me or did anyone else like the way Benji played the game? I did in fact like the way Benji played the game, but not the whole time. I think the first few episodes of his, I was kind of like, oh, let's quit these analogies. And then I just kind of accepted the fact that we're not going to quit the analogies. And then once you get past that, I liked that he made moves. I liked that he tried to get things happening. A lot of his stuff that he tried to do didn't pay off, but that final tribal council of his where he managed to vote out Matt was absolutely iconic, and I feel like he'd be pretty proud of that too. Paula Nicole says, no one fucks with Shane Gold. Iconic. Shane Gold is up there in terms of Australian icons next to Vegemite. She's potentially even about to overtake Vegemite. There, I said it. Dempsey says, do you think Chanella can stay safe in next week's episodes, and will we get more Monica? Well, let's talk about the promos for this week of Survivor. The promos are all about Monica, and I'm a bit scared because I'm like, does that mean she's gonna go home? Hopefully not. And they're like advertising Monica's beauty of a move. So hopefully she makes some big moves and manages to make it through even further. I would live for that. Extend years to my life. In terms of Chanella being safe, I think Fenella is more safe than Shani, but as a group, they're more safe than most other people. Does that make sense? Emma Maria says, when Benji told Brian that Sean was throwing his name out, what a blunder! I haven't heard anyone say blunder in so long. What a blunder. I'm gonna start using that. I'm gonna use that next week. What a blunder. Essie2507 says, Benji making Survivor history after Sean's idol play has me screaming, and she put 4 exclamations? Sis, same. I would even potentially put 5. You're like literally reading my mind after Monday night's episode. 3 Chains says, do you think Brian is in the power position, and how far do you think he will go? Well, earlier today, I did a power rankings with my dad, and I put Brian at the top. I said Brian finna win this shit, potentially. Depending on this week. I mean, that's such like a shit thing to say, depending on this week. Well, obviously depending on this week. Like, if he goes home, then he's definitely not gonna win. Brian is definitely the most powerful person in the tribe at the moment. He can match Steve in physical challenges, and he's also got an idol that no one knows about. That is ideal. So that brings us to the end of this video. If you liked it, leave that like. Y'all continue to snap on the likes. We hit 60 again. Like, hello, reaching more likes than on Facebook. If you got something to say, leave a comment and make sure you follow me on Instagram, respond to the Q&A, and if you're not subscribed already, hit that subscribe button. We finna reach 600 and I want to do my Twitter reaction meme folder video. As always, thank you so much for watching these videos. Hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed the next 2 episodes. We're about to go from 7 to 5, which has me absolutely screaming. I can't wait to talk about it. But yeah, have a good week and I'll see you next week. Peace out. Bye.